So there are several important updates on fourth stimulus checks in many states across the country, and everybody can also claim up to $1,000 for your household. Now, new relief legislations have also been proposed, and some Americans may receive less than others. Some big developments on another round of stimulus payments. The Kentucky Senate recently passed a bill that will tap into the state's massive revenue surpluses to deliver more than $1 billion in income tax rebates to taxpayers. The measure cleared the Senate on a 28-7 vote. That was just days after being proposed. It would grant state personal income tax rebates of up to $500 per individual and up to $1,000 per household. The proposal next goes to the House, where a separate measure introduced was that would gradually reduce Kentucky's individual income tax. The sweeping House bill also would extend the state sales tax to a host of services. The Republican Senator Chris McDaniel, who was sponsoring the income tax rebate, said the measure would deliver some relief for Kentucky residents struggling with prices, the rising prices of fuel, groceries, and utilities. McDaniel added, "This bill is not a statement about anything other than who gave the state this money and who needs this money the most." The one-time rebates are expected to cost the state up to $1.15 billion. Once the proposal becomes law, the rebates should be distributed to people in Kentucky. One Democratic senator called it a bad tax policy, saying broad sections of the state's population, including retirees and the working poor, would not benefit from the rebates. Instead, Senator Tom touted the proposed temporary cut in the state sales tax as a way to provide widespread relief from rising consumer prices. Democratic governor had endorsed that bill, which proposes a one-year cut in the sales tax from 6% to 5% of everybody. It would actually deliver $873 million in tax relief for Kentuckians that are struggling with the rising prices that they're facing. There are many other states that are working on getting more relief passed for their residents. For example, people in Virginia, the governor is now proposing a gas tax suspension. The Virginia governor has sent legislation to the General Assembly to propose suspending the state's gas tax for a total of 3 months this summer. The governor in Virginia's proposal would suspend the motor vehicle fuels tax for May, June, and July, before slowly phasing it back and slowly in August and September. The state tax is currently 26.2 cents per gallon for gas and 27 cents for diesel. The proposal would also cap the annual adjustment to the gas tax and no more than 2% per year. The governor has said in a statement that people in Virginia need tax relief, and it's time for the General Assembly to act on the multiple tax relief proposals. With gas prices and inflation squeezing families, pocketbooks across Virginia and the nation, and with over $1 billion in unanticipated revenue in our transportation fund, the General Assembly must act now. Virginia should join numerous other states, led by both Republicans and Democrats, in temporarily suspending the gas tax. The money from Virginia's gas tax is deposited in the Commonwealth Transportation Fund, along with a portion of the state sales and use tax. That fund pays for the maintenance and construction for all modes of transportation. Also earlier this year, Idaho proposed a bill that would provide Idaho residents with a rebate of 12% of their 2020 state tax, or $75, whichever is greater. The rebates are intended for earners and their dependents. If you are an Idaho resident, you should have received your payment back in March, but those who receive their tax refunds via direct deposit will be the first to see their rebates. Folks, if you think that President Biden should definitely do more and send out stimulus checks sooner than later, then tell me in the comments down below, because I definitely believe that President Biden has to do more in sending out stimulus checks.
Not deal with moving the pieces around. He has provided flexibility to a beneficiary so that they can more easily get access to the product. What we're trying to do is to provide him with more authority, and he did that. Quite honestly, in the first stories that came out, speaking of, this is before I even knew of a whistleblower's report, I called for an inspector general investigation of a delay of from last October until a recall in February by the FDA. And why? Now that's going to take a while, okay? Now, but in the meantime, the issue and the crisis is now. So how do we, in the very short order, provide them with what they need in terms of FDA to be able to bring a product back? We're going to look at other pieces about strengthening their authorities and holding people's feet to the fire. We are going to investigate Abbott, and the chips should fall where they may. People have to be accountable, whether it is at FDA or whether it is at Abbott.
I just may say, seeing the problem is very important, but understanding it very carefully is too. Some babies need a very special kind of formula. Only one manufacturer makes that. it became contaminated. As you say, when you find out about the issue, then you look into it. What is the nature of this? What is it that we have to address? That was one part of it. When Rosa, Madam Chair, referenced the babies who died, they were the ones who needed this special formula, and it has a special category, and that was contaminated. And that's sinful, but it was. And so that's one thing they'll be looking at. And then, of course, the fungibility of this, when everybody then runs to the next category, then you have the shortage. And this supply chain issue is one that is rearing its head in many ways. But when it comes to babies, it's the here and now and in this moment. I think that when all of this is done, I'm not associating my colleagues with what I'm going to say right now, I'm just saying it myself, I think there might be a need for indictment. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Want to hold them close and not be frantically running through the grocery store or going online trying to find out whether or not you can get food for your baby. And so we understand that, and we are laser focused. I'm so pleased with Congresswoman Hayes, with Chairman Scott, to be focusing on the WIC program, which is about half of the babies in our country who get their food, moms and babies, through the WIC program and the baby formula. This is very, very important. We are working together on a bill, and we'll be jointly, both on language and hope that we can move this quickly, not only in the House, where I know they will move quickly, but in the Senate as well. I do want to say that when all of this came about, I very much appreciate the moment that USDA was notified, Secretary Beals acted quickly. I appreciate that. There are issues of making sure that they know through FDA what is happening when, so they can move quickly, but I very much appreciate that. I appreciate the president and what he's doing. We want to make sure there's more flexibilities. For example, when a family in Traverse City goes to the grocery store and there's only one brand on the shelf right now, and if it's not the approved brand under WIC, there's a problem, but USDA has said we're giving them the flexibility, and we want to make that permanent, that they can purchase what is available, safe and available. So there's a number of flexibilities that we are working on that are very, very important. And we want to make sure that when there's a shortage and there's a situation, that's all hands on deck in the federal government. All the partners are talking to each other, and all of them are moving quickly. So I just want to thank all of my colleagues who are here, and proud to be your partner. This is something that Leader Schumer cares deeply about. We met in our leadership team about this last night, and we are anxious to work with the House